What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to PMV TV. Your boy Ralphie, and this is kind of a part two to the. I didn't know I was gonna do a part two, but ended up doing a part two because as I was going about my day, I started thinking about other things that I wanted to say in the last video that I didn't get to say when I just posted. I'll probably posted this the same day. This is I recorded this at night, but anyway, um, so on the last video I spoke, it was can your claim be lowered or taken away? Your rating, your VA rating for whatever it is that you're claiming. Can it be lowered and taken away? And of course, yes, as you know, it can. There's other videos that explain it. I explained it in the last video, but just to reiterate on that, yes, it can. They can take the shit away. Even if you're at 100% PNT, don't think that you're protected. And I spoke a little bit, real briefly, on how, like, the main way that it can get, your all your benefits or some of your benefits, or they can lower your claim, can be lowered or taken away. Of course, if it is found that there's any fraud, obviously everything is taken away, and that's with anything because you're breaking a law. But in this case, um, it's I want to give you an example because I didn't give you. I'm gonna give you my example of how, as I was thinking about it, of how one got lowered, one got taken down, and kind of left me at the same level. So when I started my claim in the beginning, okay, I got out of active duty in 2007, and then joined the guard. Um, I went and I did the guard for a few years. I didn't really get into the VA until uh, 2000 and think I applied for the VA, but then I actually got my full benefit after, obviously, after I got out. But I didn't know about it. Like in '07, I got out of active duty. I didn't do anything. '08, didn't do anything. 2000, the end of 2008 is when somebody was like, "Hey, have you gone to the VA?" I think I was doing like security work or something, and there was a veteran that worked with me. He was like, "Yeah, you gone to the VA? What's your VA?" And I was like, "VA." I really didn't know. I've heard about it, but I didn't know. Anyway, I went. I uh, put my packet in, whatever. I did my paperwork. I got in. They gave me an ID card, yada yada. So then they're like, I met with this Navy veteran service officer or whatever they call him, VSO, and he was like, "Yeah, you got to put in claims for whatever." And I was like, "Oh." So then he started helping me out. They put my packet, blah blah. They were like, "Oh, okay. Well, what do you have?" And they're like, "Okay, you got this." I had the PS Planus, whatever, flat feet. Basically, that's one I want to talk about. I also have I had a back, I have lower back and shoulder. I believe it was in the beginning. Shoulder. I have tinnitus because I was field artillery and camo, but it was the field artillery probably. I think we all get tinnitus because we go to the range, but and then and a couple other things. So the biggest one for me at the time was the flat feet, pes planus, whatever. Now they had given me 50% of that, which 50% just on that alone. Now that's pretty big for that because normally they give like I think 30. I don't know if anybody. I think 50% is big because one of the VSOs was like he was looking at my records. He was like, "You got 50% for the flat feet, damn." So I was like, I don't know, whatever. I was going in there to get my shoulder checked because I was having shoulder problems, right? That was years ago. And so he was like, all right, whatever. So there was other stuff in my records that another veteran service officer, whatever, one of them guys from the VSO. So he was like, hey man, you should claim this and this and this because you got this on your record. Is it bothering you? Yeah, it's bothering me. This. Okay. So now, mind you, at that time when I had just the four, I think it was the four things. I was at I was at what? I was at I think 60%. That was my initial rating, 60. And so what happened was I ended up getting something else. I can't remember what it was. They gave me a rating for something else, and it was like 20 or 30% more, which brought me up to 70. I know the math is crazy. One day we'll go down through the math, but it brought me up to 70. Okay. So then again, veteran service officer was like, "Hey man, I have a lot of stuff, okay, and just different things I didn't know were that was after I got out, I was able to get help with or get claim on my claim on my record, whatever." So he was like, "Hey, claim this because this is on your record too. You had this. You went to the doctor for this, and the doctor said you have this. I hadn't gotten PTSD. That's the last thing I got. It took me years to get PTSD. And I got like I don't know how many deployments, combat deployments. But so thing was, as I had my 60 now. I'm sorry, I was at 70. So I think I had the next one. The next big one was PTSD. So I'm got the PTSD. I'm going to the psychiatrist every or to the I'm going to mental health every week, right? Every week I have a mental health meeting. I had a group, all that stuff. Now I see my psychologist, whatever, and I go to my psychologist in the big hospital. That was a couple years ago. I was going for a year. Then they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I did my CMP, got a Nexus letter, whatever. Boom. I mean, no, I'm sorry, I didn't get a Nexus letter. I just took a CMP, and they were like, "Okay, all this, you've been going to psychiatrist for a year. This, whatever, you got this." So I was going through a really bad time in personal life too. I was depressed, all that stuff. So anyway, um, they raised it to what I think it was 80%, right? So what happened was when I raised it, right? When I opened that can of worms, and because every time again that they raise your rating, they're gonna open the books, just like the mafia. They're gonna open the books. Look at this. Hey, we're gonna open the books on you, because they're gonna make you right. They're gonna open the books, but they're gonna see everything. They're gonna look through everything. Bah, 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 bah. Let me see what you got here. What we got? What? Oh, hold up, man. They looked at the flat feet, the piss planets, whatever they call it. They realized they were like, "Nah, homie, you don't need, you don't need 50%." Because what happened was, for the flat feet, I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know I had to make doctor's appointments, and I mean I didn't know. They just gave me that, right? I didn't know. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know it was like flat feet. They gave me, damn, okay. So, because I do have pain on the arches of my feet, I did a lot of rucking, whatever. So they uh they lowered that to I think it was 30. So then what happened was when they gave me my rating for PTSD, which was at 50 at first, um, they it equaled to only 80. Had they left it at 50, it would have been at 90. It would have been at 90 for a couple of years because I was at 80 for God knows how long. I was at 70 for like 2 or 3 years. Then I was at 80 for like 4 or 5 years. I was at 60 for like 3 years also. So then I'm at 80 and I held 80 for I went strong with 80, and I was fighting the PTSD since 2015 to raise it, right? Because I'm going. I mean, the PTSD is probably it's probably most of our biggest thing besides the bag and the bones, and in case unless you unfortunately had a lost limb or anything. But the PTSD, I mean, that adds to everything. All this stress, all this I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't move the way I used to. That adds to the post traumatic stress. Is not just combat stress, but so I was fighting all that, and I focused on the PTSD. I'm still waiting on sleep apnea because they denied me that twice. But that was just to show you that the flat feet that I had for 50%, they probably would have never seen it had I never done anything. But I also would have never raised my disability rating. But because I did put in more, and I did appeals and all that stuff. They opened those books and then were like, "Hey, 50% for flat feet, man. You gotta be out your fucking mind. the fuck out of here with that. So they fucking lowered the shit and, lowered it to 30%. And that's what normally happens. You put in other claims, just be prepared for them to look at other stuff. Now, if your stuff is right, it's right. It's just for that particular claim, I really never. The only thing I got was arch support on my boots, and I never really complained about it because I didn't like. I don't. I do get pains on. I actually get pain on the arches of my feet. This pain, like it feels like a bone is going through. And when I sleep, when I turn a certain way, but I never really. I'm like, that happens periodically, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know I had to go for treatment for it. I just thought, okay, he gave me some support. That's gonna help. I had that. It happened a couple years ago while I was in the army, like in the middle of my service and when I was active. That's when it started happening. So I didn't know. I just kind of sucked it up and drove on. So that's kind of what I was doing here, which is why I say don't have a suck it up and drive on attitude. Leave that shit with your retirement or with your ETS, or you know what I mean. Leave like that. Suck it up and drive on. When it comes to this, the VA don't suck it up and drive on because that's what messes us up a lot. I sucked it up and drove on. Never went to go get treated. When they opened them books, it was like, oh, this guy never went after he claimed, so he must be better. Let's lower that to 30. You know what I mean? They probably would have left it at 50 had I been going regularly and going through some kind of therapy for it. So stay going to your therapy. Be cautious when you open the books again. Be cautious because again, when you if you're at 100 and you especially if you're at 100 PNT permanent total, you open those books again and you're like, oh, you know what? Oh, like I have one. I'm kind of like a little in the wind, but I have a lawyer that's working with me on this one. But I still have an appeal from way before I got 100. That's still an appeal, years ago. Okay, this was like 2014 to now. It's still an appeal. So I'm waiting for that, but I'm kind of like skeptical about that. I'm like, oh man, this thing. I don't want it to affect me in any way because I just got my 100 a few months ago. So I'm kind of like leave it alone. Leave well enough alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't poke the bear. That's kind of what I don't want to do, and that's what you shouldn't do. Do not poke the bear. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm at right now. And I didn't even talk about what's on my screen, but this was just, I wanted to use it as an example, but I used my own as an example. These are just some examples of some of the injuries or claims, I'm sorry, that you can put in. This is from VLG, Veterans Law Group. And, you know, but you can go to this website. You can go to pretty much any lawyer, Morgan, Thornton, and whatever. They're all over, man. You put VA claims, and they're gonna all come out on YouTube. So, but anyway, that's all I got, man. If you got any questions, leave your questions and comments in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on social media, and I'll see you on the next smoke.